Welcome back to Wake Up America Weekend. The Supreme Court appeared skeptical on Wednesday of President Trump's authority to impose global tariffs by declaring national emergencies under 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act. For more now, we're joined by former Assistant to the United States Attorney Michael J. Wynne, as well as former prosecutor, criminal defense attorney Lindsay Richards. Welcome to you both. Michael, after hearing from the High Court this week, do you think that Trump will be able to impose global tariffs under the IEEPA?
Yeah, going to be a close question. I listened to some of the questions that the more conservative judges asked. I'd be very surprised if they're overturned. And I think that sometimes, in an oral argument, the court is going to play maybe what they call devil's advocate, and in this instance, ask the tough questions and get them out there to suggest that those justices are taking them into consideration. At the end of the day, I think the tariffs will be upheld, partly because just the scope of them, the size, and the variability tend to be more policy actions rather than focused on revenue raising, which is exclusively in Congress's jurisdiction. But how these were done, they were a response to specific countries, specific circumstances. The amounts were symbolic more than to raise revenue. As I recall, they were also round numbers. So I think this one gets upheld.
Lindsay, I guess the question is, do you think the High Court is going to rule against the president here? Does he actually have the power to impose global tariffs? I mean, that's the question, I think, for the court.
Yeah, I actually, I think the Supreme Court's going to find that he does not have the authority and the power to do what he's been doing in imposing these tariffs. I think the arguments lent themselves to a belief that, this was done without congressional authority, that this is a taxation issue, and he doesn't have the authority under IEEPA, under this Economic Powers Act, to impose these tariffs. And I think that's where we're headed. And I think, it'll be the first time the Supreme Court has really gone against the president in this instance. And I think it's going to be a big shock.
Michael, I want you to take a listen to President Trump, though. He spoke about the hearing here. Take a listen.
Tariffs are so important. The decision in the Supreme Court would be devastating to our country if we got a negative, devastating if we got a negative decision. We thought we did very well yesterday. We hope that we did. I think it would be devastating for our country, but I also think that we'll have to develop a Game 2 plan. We'll see what happens.
So he mentioned a plan B there. Did the Trump administration make a mistake by using the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, do you think?
I think the case is rest on Article 2 of the United States Constitution. All right, that's the law of the land. We have a sole executive, and it's just the way the language is. This has come up, too, in the president's authority to move gunboats off the shore of Venezuela in the conflict allegedly with the War Powers Act of 1974. It's just the way our Constitution is written, and the president may need to cite it to justify his own policy decisions, in this case, the Economic Powers Act of 1976, a very different way it was brought up. But this is going to be governed by Article 2. We have a sole executive to execute the laws. We've seen a gradual accretion of executive power since that time. And I think that's going to be changed, needs to be done another way, perhaps a constitutional amendment. The Supreme Court's going to uphold the tariffs.
Interesting. Well, we do know that breaking late on Friday, the Trump administration did win approval by the Supreme Court to temporarily block a court order mandating full SNAP funding during the government's shutdown. Lindsay, now the DOJ's argument was that enforcing the full payment order would have taken away congressional authority and really break federal spending laws. Did the High Court make the right decision here?
Legally, perhaps, but it's hard for me to even sit here and say this when there's people that are losing their benefits, and that is just a devastating situation, and we need to address it. But legally, are we taking away from congressional spending? Perhaps.
Now, sorry, I'm laughing ahead of because I know what we're about to talk about. It's the sandwich guy. The DC guy that decided to throw a footlong at an ICE agent. His name's Sean Dunn. Well, he was acquitted for assaulting that ICE agent by throwing the sandwich at him. The U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. initially tried to charge him with a felony assault, and the case was downgraded to a misdemeanor for assaulting or impeding a federal officer. So, Michael, does this mean that now protesters are just going to be throwing sandwiches at ICE agents?
Oh, it's highly unlikely. Look, this was a great opportunity for us to see, that conservative values, for that matter, transcend politics. We've seen a jury that really worked. Again, our founders' wisdom, this way they structured our Constitution, the standard of reasonable doubt. He was really punished in the sense that he lost his career, right? And this is a one-off incident. You're throwing a sandwich at a guy with an officer with a bulletproof vest on. It's not in any way a loss for the administration or prosecution. It's a demonstration of our system in action and a jury taking care of an instance of prosecutorial overreach.
Lindsay, the guy it was a full, foot-long sandwich and not the 6-inch version. Did the district court make the right decision here, in your opinion? You get the final word about 45 seconds.
Did the
I
district,
think
it was a jury trial. They made the right decision. Absolutely the right decision.
Yeah, Michael, we're going to ask this one to Lindsay.
Michael, this is to Lindsay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I think this whole case honestly was a bit ridiculous, in my opinion. If you watched the actual cross-examinations, we're asking questions about mustard and bread and if it was an assault, and it was just a little bit absurd, in my opinion. Thankfully they acquitted him, and we can all move forward. But yeah, I think the district court made the right decision.
Sorry, Michael, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I know you're passionate about Subway sandwiches. I love a sandwich too. We do have to leave it there, though, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.